Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today's all about heat mats for growing your seed starts indoors. I'm going to go over some tips for using them. Please subscribe. For 2023 I will show you how to grow an entire vegetable garden, and I have at least 50 videos on starting seeds indoors if you want to check that out. A complete playlist on how to do just about everything you see here. But today, the heat mat, what do you use that for? How do you use it, and why is it important? So the first thing, if you put a piece of cardboard underneath the heat mat, that will insulate it from any kind of metal shelving or colder shelving, and that will just allow the heat to go from the heat mat right to the bottom of your seed starting flat. You can use any heat mat. You don't necessarily need a thermostat on it. You don't want to use them on every plant. The whole purpose of a heat mat is to warm the bottom of your flat, warm the soil, warm the seeds, and you'll get faster germination. So, a couple things to keep in mind. Just about every seed is going to germinate between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And very often if you're growing in your house, that's where your temperatures sit at. When you have those warmer temperatures, just a side note, your cool weather crops can get a little bit taller than you think, and you might think, oh, I need more light on there. Because those cool weather crops, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kales, etc., are getting so much warmth from just the temperature in your house, those plants can get a little bit leggy. So you don't want to use a heat mat under every seed type. You definitely don't want to use a heat mat under the cool weather crops when the temperatures of your area are already 65 degrees Fahrenheit or taller. In fact, I don't recommend using the heat mat at all for the cool weather crops. They will actually appreciate germinating in temperatures around 55 degrees Fahrenheit, etc. Most of the seeds are perfectly fine. I like using the heat mat for seeds that take a little bit longer to germinate, or like the higher heat temperatures like peppers. So I will use a heat mat in my house, try and get the temperature of the seed starting mix above 80 degrees. That will greatly speed up germination for your pepper seeds, and it makes a difference. Pepper seeds, for instance, can take up to 3 weeks, even 4 weeks, some of the super hots, even when the temperatures are around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So how do you use it? The heat mat, if you decide to use it for a flat or for specific seeds, should stay on for 24 hours. You're not turning this off. If you turn it off, the soil is going to cool down. So it should be in its separate plug on 24 hours, not on the same timer that you might have your lights on. Put the flat on. You're going to leave it on until you see the seeds germinate. Once they germinate and they break the surface, that's oregano, you're going to leave it on anywhere from 7 to 14 days. That's up to you. Really depends on just how you want to do it. That will give your plants enough time for the root systems to develop, for the green growth to get established, and the plants will be well on their way. After a week, 14 days, you can shut that heat mat off and let your plants go. Now, if you're growing peppers, and that's for indoor growing, if you're growing peppers and you're growing them maybe in a garage or a place where the temperatures stay cooler, 55 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a little bit less, they can still do fine without the heat mat, but you might want to keep that on longer just so they grow, a little bit better. That extra warmth in a cold growing space will make a difference. And that's going to really depend on how much time you have to grow indoors before you want to get them outside. So those are the basic tips for using a heat mat. If you check out the video description, you'll see my Amazon shop. I have a couple of heat mats linked to that. But again, you can use any type of heat mat that works, and I really do recommend using that insulation, especially if you're in a cold garage or in a basement or something like that. Please subscribe. I will be doing a lot of tips for growing indoors, and please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.